Hello, welcome students to the NPTEL course Visual Communication Design for Digital Media. And in this module, we'll start discussing about types of digital media technologies. In this brief, before we have started discussing on what is visual communication design. So we discussed what are the elements of visual communication design, what are the principles of visual communication design, and from this module onwards, we'll start discussing on what is digital media. Digital media is also sometimes called new media because new media is the paradigm where the digital influence, digital platform is started. So to understand digital or new media, we need to understand what is media, what we talk about, what we denote when we tell this is digital or traditional media. So media is a platform or mode of mass communication. So the platform where people interact with each other by sharing knowledge, by sharing news, sharing information, or people take or gather knowledge from a particular interface. It can be a digital interface, it can be a traditional interface. So for example, if we think about the previous times when people used to spread news by announcing in a public plaza and playing drums, and then they started announcing different news, and that was the initial starting of communication. Then there were scroll paintings, then there were paintings on churches wall, painting on even the cave paintings are also a way of communication. And gradually we evolved from that era, and the newspapers, pamphlets, all this print media started, and right now we are in the age of computer, and the computer became the platform of media. And from that time onwards, we started talking about digital media as a new media, and that's a paradigm shift. So initially the paradigm of media was completely different. It was traditional. Right now it is based on digital. So if we think about the evolution, first the traditional medias were theatre performance, paintings. Even in Indian context, we have our scroll paintings, we have our wall paintings like Madhubani, we have scroll paintings like Patachitras. Those were the traditional medias, and even the shadow puppetries, those were the traditional Indian in Indian context, those were the traditional media, traditional old media. Then when during the Renaissance in Europe, Gutenberg developed a machine which is press, and the first what he printed was the Bible, the Gutenberg's Bible. That was around 1440s. So that time onwards print media started, and the print media, within print media we have newspaper, we have pamphlets, we have advertisement posters. So actually from if we compare the theatre performance has capacity to target less audience, only a theatre hall, only who's even the paintings on the church's hall, who's visiting the church can only see that, can have the communication, can have a interface between the painting and humans, communication can happen. But in print media has a larger reach, it can target larger audience. So this was actually required during the Renaissance, where people migrated from village to cities, and industrial revolution started. So during industrial revolution, advertisement of new products were required, and that time rail engines and all these things were started developing. So newspapers were easy to distribute. It distributes through vehicles like rails, and it reaches larger target audience. So the capacity to target an audience is gradually becoming higher. Even from print media to, if we think about the invention of first programmable computer, that happened on 1830s by Charles Babbage. So computer has even larger, it can target even larger target audience. So it can actually have an impact globally. So it doesn't need to reach the user in forms of tangible newspapers, where the informations can be digitally stored and anybody from all over the world can access the media. So gradually the media become more popularized. It can information can be accessed by many people. So in today's digital or new media, we have social networking sites like Facebook, like Orkut, which initially was there, and other social networking sites like WhatsApp mobile application, where people communicate, and even the people who's spatially distant, sitting in a different country, they can communicate through this social networking site and exchange information and knowledge. Even the animated movies, which we can upload in digital platforms like YouTube, and all over the world people can see that. And even the digital games, somebody from other side of the earth is programming the game, and we are playing it. So these are the new digital media platforms which are available today. So what are the characteristics of new media? So it's based on digital platform, definitely, and all digital media including text, image, video. It can be 2D and 3D shapes. All are 2D and 3D shapes. For example, buttons and breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs are the button which we use for navigation, which we will discuss in the later classes. And so all these are actually digital informations which we can store, which we can use in digital media platform. And the main thing is it can allow easy access and larger target audience, which we discussed earlier, that the target audience and accessibility and is gradually increasing in media, from traditional old media to the new paradigm of digital media. So in contrast to old media, new media is interactive. And yes, if we consider the painting on the wall of churches or the scroll paintings, users cannot interact with that. The way the performers are performing the theater, the way a painter is painted, user can only have that information. But here, if we think about animation, if we think about a gamified experience of a web application, we can click on a particular button and see what information we need. So here actually users involvement is much more, and user can tweak, user can select what elements they want to display, and they can create their own path of interactiveness. So there is a heuristic experience which they can generate, and each and every user's heuristic experience will be based on their it will be subjective and based on the particular user. So heuristic experience is like the term heuristic is means that the way user interacts with the interface, or the way they evolve, the interaction evolves through around the user. So it's a term which will be again discussed in the detail of discussed in detail in design methodology. So here on the this side we have traditional old media. I have selected Indian traditional media. For example, this first is covered painting, covered wooden shrine. It's based on Rajasthan. So they used to tell a story by these folded panels of wooden panels. So gradually one wooden panel will unfold, and one story will there will be a narrative, there will be a song attached to each and every painting, and then again they will unfold another panel, and another song will start. So gradually this is actually a storytelling approach where traditional Indian the Rajasthani vernacular artist used to follow. This one is actually Bengal Patachitra. This is Bengal Patachitra's Nayagram Gharana. So this is also a scroll painting of Bengal. So similarly, they also have each and every pata has one song associated to this. So this is actually a vertical scroll where there are multiple frames. So actually this each and every frame you can connect this with animated movies. So each and every frame has one shot and one song is there, and the next shot begins and the next painting they unfold the next painting and the next song starts. So this is a traditional media which evolved into animation and movie from there. So this is also this is a Kalamkari painting of South Andhra Pradesh. So here the paintings are there, and also Telugu scripts are also there which describes the painting. This is a cover painting from Bihar. This is a wall painting where there is a graphics, there is a storytelling approach is applied here through the where the base is wall. And here in the new media we have on the other side web applications, digital graphics, animated films, and digital gaming interfaces. So if we start discussing new media, we need to understand the salient features and characteristics of new media. So new media, as described by Lev Manovich in his book The Language of New Media, as by MIT Press. You can follow this book. In this book Manovich describes the 5 key characteristics of new media. The first, he says, it has the potentiality of numerical representation. Second, it has a modularity. It is to represent new media, a modular approach is followed. There is a provision of automation and variability based because of the numerical representation and modularity of representation, data representation, and it follows a principle of transcoding. So we'll discuss these 5 principles in detail. So first is numerical representation. All the media objects can be described is represented mathematically, which computer stores the information stored in the computer is a mathematical information which transforms into a display system, and we understand that we don't see the mathematical code behind the new media design. We see a visible display. It can be in terms of text, it can be in terms of videography, sound, it can be in terms of still pictures. So because of this numerical representation, manipulation using algorithm is possible, which was not possible in the form of tangible old traditional media. So new media design, for example, the manipulation using algorithm is like noise reduction. We can reduce the noise digitally after creating first the mother copy of the digital media. Then we can also increase, for example, we can increase or decrease color contrast after creating the visual. So these are possible because the information stored is in terms of mathematical numbers. The another thing is the information stored has a same pattern. The same basic modular is repeated to store an information. The same module can be scaled up, can be scaled down. Within a module, the same module can be repeated. So it has a fractal structure. So the fractal structures is represented infographically here. So all the informations in digital medias has the same modular unit. So the modular unit can be like pixels to represent a 2D image. It can be a voxel to represent a 3D image, 3D digital image, like when we are designing an animation, 3D animation, we are creating a character of a 3D animation. All informations of a 3D informations are represented in terms of voxels. And similarly, characters and scripts help to represent the typography, image, and all the informations in digital media. So the next characteristics is automation. Automation is actually possible because of numeric and modular representation of the possibility of modular representation and numeric coding of new media. So for example, if we have a template which is already automated template, and we can create a website based on the same template. Multiple website can be created from based on a particular single template. Even the Photoshop filters, so there are already programmed filters in Photoshop and other digital graphics tool like Illustrator and others. So there are filters which the proper algorithm is written for this filter, and we can have different image to go through that filter and transform into a particular visual stylistic visual. So for example, in the first we have a photograph, real photograph of Prince of Ghat in Kolkata, and on the right hand side we have Katsushika Hokusai's Great Wave. So Great Wave is a famous woodcut painting. So this is actually a filter which new mobile based application is generated a filter which has the visual quality of this painting, Katsushika Hokusai's Great Wave. So visual qualities are deciphered in terms of elements of design. So same blue colors, the color tones of blue, the line qualities and the textures are taken from this original painting. And if we see, the color of this is actually different, the color of this is also a different tone. But when I have applied the filter which is derived from Katsushika Hokusai's Great Wave to the original photograph, this color is changed into the original the inspiration of where the filter is inspired from this Great Waves color. So the elements of design is changed, and then the line qualities which where we see in the wave are also repeated over here in this to depict the cloud. So the line qualities are also borrowed from this the painting of Hokusai and translated into the image. So by this way actually the elements of designs are transformed and merged with the image by the principle of automation. This is only possible because of new media applications, and the new media applications, all these images are actually stored in mathematical numbers and module in modular format. That's why the previously coded algorithm which is taken from this this image can be applied on the other image. So this is possible in new media, which was not possible in the old and traditional media digitally. So the another quality of another characteristics of new media is variability. So the new media objects are not fixed forever. So it can be manipulated in variable format. So there is because this is also happening because of the modularity and numerical coding, which which are the first two characteristics we discussed. So for example, from the mother copy we can change, we can make many other different copies, we can change the format of the copies. For example, when a movie releases, the movie can also be seen in mobile, which can also be transform into fit into the screen of a particular aspect ratio. For example, the flight in the flight there are this movie display systems where the movie is digitally modified to fit into that display system which we see in the flights. So for example, we have this project Hampi, which is created by UNESCO for conservation of Hampi of India, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So digitally, what UNESCO did, digitally documented, digitally photographed Hampi and created a 360-degree panoramic view of Hampi. So Hampi, this project, this project is actually digitally stored, and they can display this in any form in a 360-degree panoramic view in any part of the world. So this after documenting there can be multiple copies, so people don't need to go to the Hampi and see the monuments of traditional Indian monuments. So they can be this Hampi project is also displayed in Australia. So people can go to Australia, and Australian people can also see this project by just going there and digitally experiencing what is there in the Indian heritage site Hampi. So again, simultaneously, this project can be shown in many places of the world, and in many format. We can see this thing in television. We can see this in laptop. We can see this in mobile. Also, we can see this in this kind of 360-degree panoramic screen. So the another characteristics, another possibility with new media platform is transcoding. It is an interface between human and computer. The computer understands a different language, but human perceives a different language. But new media can cater to because of the digital platform. It can cater. New media can cater to the computer. It can take the benefits of computer programming, and also it can display things to human being. And so there is another term we have to discuss here is hypermedia. It's an extension of hypertexting, and where the nonlinear heuristic interaction happens between user and computer. So if we have hypertext, so people can select a particular hypertext, and they can select the particular path which we were discussing in the beginning of the lecture. So a process of co-evolution, co-creation and co-design is there, and which unfolded because of the new media paradigm. So for example, website, mobile application, game which we have, which we can interact as the way we want. And there are also some multimedia where which cannot be that interactive, for example animation, movie and digital graphics, but still we can pause the we can switch we can pause the movie again, rewind and see it again, which was not possible in the traditional media like scroll painting and if we are seeing a performance in theater. So these are the characteristics of a new media, and we will again discuss in detail in the next lecture how visual communication design can affect in can be applied in new media paradigm. Thank you.